Okay, and we're back. So we are going to now work on the rest of the symbolization for our map. And if we look here at our data, we need to clean it up a little bit because we've got one classification that's light pink that tells us it's negative 99 to 0. And we really don't know what that means. We know that negative 99 means there's no data available, but we're not for sure. We have to change the name of that. So what we want to do before we even go to change the name is we want to make sure that what the lowest number is in our database so that we can make sure that we're classifying our data properly. So we're going to go in to the attribute table and we're going to scroll over to the turkeys and we're actually going to sort them in ascending manner so that we can see that indeed the lowest numbers are the negative 99s. These nulls, just so you know, are actually Washington, D.C., District of Hawaii, and Alaska. So we don't need to worry about them. And then we go straight into our data after that. So there is no 0. It's only negative 99. So we know that negative 99 represents that there's no data available. So we want to make sure when we're representing in our legend that we represent it properly. So we double click. We know that this means no data available. So we can type in here, no data available. And I also like the idea that we have the no data available represented in a completely different shade so that it really does look like there is no data there. So I like to take the lighter color and I like to change that to a really light color gray. And then the other thing that I see here is that it's really hard to read these numbers because they're large numbers and there's no comma in there to separate the numbers. So we're going to format the labels and we're going to show 1,000 separators and hit OK. And then look, oh, isn't that wonderful? It flipped back our label again. So let's put that back in. No data available. Okay. So now when we hit OK, and we apply this to our map, the gray actually stands out as having no data available, and it's a lot easier to read our numbers. So we're going to save our map as we go. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new data frame that's going to put some information in there. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to insert a new data frame because now we've looked at our turkeys. We're going to insert a new data frame. Notice that this data frame is empty. And before we just drag it down into this new data frame, what we're going to do is we're going to permanently join our data. So we're going to right mouse click the USA layer. We're going to choose Data, Export Data. And the permanent join just makes sure that that shapefile stays together as a marriage as opposed to if it maybe would fall apart. And we don't want it to fall apart while we're working with all this information. So we're going to keep this as all features. This layer's data source. We want to give it an output name. So this is a terrible name, output, export output shape. So we're going to find our Thanksgiving folder. And we're going to call this let's call this Thanksgiving dinner. I'm going to save and hit OK. And we're going to add this to the map. And you'll notice it adds it up here. Now we're going to drag that down here so we have an exact replica. We're going to remove it from the top. And we can actually roll this guy up. And now we're going to work on our next data frame. So this data frame, I'm going to create a quantities map. And I'm going to add some of my favorite things, green beans. So I want to add green beans to my plate because I always have my Oma's green bean casserole every year. So I'm going to choose my greens. And if you notice, I can see right away that there is no negative 99 because it doesn't show up in the labels here. But there is a 0. So I do want to classify my 0 on its own so that I know where I'm not getting green beans from. So when I look at this data, I go to the classify, and all I need to do here is under the break value is put the number 0. And then I hit OK. And then I hit OK again. And now I have one group 0, and then this one would be 1, anything more than 0. So here we're going to add, again, format our labels so that we have the thousandth separator, and we don't need any decimal places. And we hit OK. So it cleans everything up. And then we can actually just hit OK from there because we can actually see what our green beans look like. So now I can hit OK. And then the zeros here, I don't care about the zeros, which happen to be Alaska and Hawaii. So what I want to do here is I just want to draw a zoom around what I'm concerned about. And then I do want to change the name of beans to green beans because it looks nicer. And then I will change my data frame to say green beans. And now I've created the second of my data here. So now I can hit save. So using this methodology, you can now insert, oops, not add data. Don't follow me there. You can insert another data frame, and you can drag Thanksgiving dinner beneath that data frame. You can double click it. Choose your next food item. I think I'll go cranberries because I love cranberries. Choose the color scheme. Although that looks the same color scheme I just chose. There, that's cranberry. Notice that it says -99. So now I go in and classify. Make that -98, which I will hit OK. And then OK again. And then, oh, actually, let's make that 0. Classify. 0, and then hit OK. And now we have -99 to 0. I want to change this, format my labels again. 0 decimal places, thousandth separator, OK. And then this could be no data available. And then I hit OK. And I don't want, remember, I don't want the light pink to be no data available. So I can choose this one. And I can change it to the same color that I just changed it. The other one. And I can hit OK. And then I can zoom into the area that I want to show. And then I can save my map. So now I've made 3 maps. And you will go through this until you have 9 data frames. Cranberries. Change Curberry to cranberry. And there's that. So you will continue to do this until you have 9 data frames on your map.